Hello and welcome back to the Tempo YouTube channel. We're doing another experiment today, taking a little step into a fantasy world where Chelsea have actually allowed Antonio Conte to make some signings, having given him his new contract, and he's gone out and he's bought pretty much everyone that's on his shopping list. So what I've done is I've taken the 6 top players on Antonio Conte's shopping list and I've put them into Chelsea to see what happens if they had all those players in their team next season. Let's see how it all went for them. So the only changes that have been made to the 17.3 database are changing the promoted relegated teams in the Championship and Premier League and adding in the players that are rumoured to be moving to Chelsea. Oh, and I've moved Chelsea into the Champions League obviously. Now Conte is still there, having signed that new deal, seeing that he got most of the players that he was linked to. Now who are those proposed signings? Well, I've taken the top 6 signings that are rumoured and sent them to Chelsea. So we're looking at Romelu Lukaku, Tiémoué Bakayoko, Alexandro, Dani Alves, Robert Lewandowski and, well, Willy Caballero. So let's have a look at some of the players, starting with Dani Alves. Now Dani Alves, I'm sure most people would agree, is one of the finest right backs in most people's living memory. Now he may well end up at Manchester City, but in this experiment Conte wanted him as an upgrade on Victor Moses. A little bit harsh on Victor, but hey. Alves obviously decided that he wanted to play for a team that might win the Champions League and not wilt in the final. Don't know why exactly he's chosen Chelsea over Manchester City for winning the Champions League, but hey, you never know. Big Willie slipped further down the pecking order at City following their recent signing, so was released. With Conte needing another experienced backup, he moved to bring in Caballero on a free transfer. We assume to pave the way for Begovic to move out and certainly not looking to be a replacement for Courtois. Romelu was clearly not impressed by the signing of Jordan Pickford for 30 million, so decided to go and have another crack at Stamford Bridge. He's made no secret of the fact he wanted to play Champions League football, so will he figure in Conte's first choice 11 for the very big matches? We'll find out a little bit later. Now you could argue the signing of Alexandro is a little harsh on both Juventus, who are now without both their wing-backs, and Marcos Alonso, who was part of the reason Conte's tactical switch last season worked. Plus he laid out Hector Bellerin, which made him very popular with most of the people in the country. Now Alexandro, as you can see, is a top quality upgrade, so really should figure in Conte's first 11. Now Bakayoko is one of that crop from Monaco, absolutely teeming with talent. He's departed along with Bernardo Silva and no doubt Mbappe, Mendy and Lamar. The question is, will his incoming transfer spell the end for Nemanja Matic? If so, where will the big midfielder go? If he does go, how will Bakayoko do in the middle of the park with N'Golo Kante? It might be like watching 4 of them in there. And where on earth will this leave Fabregas? Yes, incredibly, the Bayern Munich man is thought to have told Carlo Ancelotti that the Italian spoke so highly of his time in London that he fancies a go at it himself. So yet another world-class striker has a peg in the changing room at Cobham, meaning that Antonio Conte has a crazy amount of attacking talent at his disposal. With Diego Costa being unhappy, surely the arrival of Lewandowski and Lukaku means he will now be on the move. So let's have a look and see how the very early part of Chelsea's season has looked like. Firstly, we should remind ourselves of how Antonio Conte is set up in the game. His preferred setup is the 5-2-2-1 shape, which although it sounds like it's a flat 5 at the back, is actually coded like you can see here. As we saw last season, the wing-backs are key in this system, and with Dani Alves and Alexandro signing, you can surely assume that they will take over from Marcos Alonso and Victor Moses. So much of what happens to Chelsea will depend on what happened in the rest of the summer transfer window. So let's have a look at what happened now. Well, that's not what any of us expected. The sensible money would have been on Diego Costa, Matic, maybe Cesc Fabregas, probably Asmir Begovic at the very least being sold. But no, in true Chelsea style, they sent one of the youngsters out on loan. How on earth is Antonio planning on keeping Lewandowski, Lukaku, Costa and Batshuayi happy? You remember Michy, great on social media but even less likely to get a game now. So the league champions are 3 matches into their title defence and the expected shape is still in use. As expected, Dani Alves and Alexandro are occupying the wing-back roles and have made a decent start. Quite the surprise is that John Terry seems to have gone back on his word to finally walk away from the club and let someone else have a go, or I might have forgotten to take him out of the database. More worryingly, Conte is picking him and he's struggling for form already. Mind you, so is David Luiz. This is quite interesting too. Fabregas and Conte have both started all 3 league games, and their performances have not stood out yet. Matic has come off the bench 3 times, and Bakayoko, well, he has made 1 sub appearance to date. Will he already be thinking that he should have gone elsewhere? He's probably not thinking it as much as Lukaku is right now. As you can see, Lewandowski is the first pick striker, and Lukaku sits on the bench with Costa, wondering if they'll ever get a chance. As for Michi, well, he's probably keeping everyone up to date on Instagram. We'd probably all agree Eden Hazard was excellent last season, so how has all this change affected him so far? Well, Conte has broken something that was working very well. Hazard has a mere 6.83 average rating so far and 1 goal after 3 matches. All this doesn't sound too great, so what have the first 3 results been like? Well, look at that. Imagine going to Newcastle and losing on the first day of the season. That's going to hurt when you've spent something in the region of 200 million quid to bring in these players. A 1-1 draw with United is acceptable, even at home, and an efficient 2-0 win over Southampton shows that maybe things might be starting to click. Let's enjoy Robert Lewandowski's first goal for the club. In fairness, this is a typical poacher's finish from John Terry's knockdown. In fact, both goals in this 2-0 win for Chelsea came from corners, so maybe there is still more work to be done on the training pitch. So as we can see from the league table, not the best start for Chelsea, but it is early days. Looking at the Champions League, well, they should really sail through that group. Right then, let's sim to the end of the transfer window in January, and I've got a feeling there's going to be a few unhappy campers at the bridge. Well, yet again, I wasn't expecting that. Conte was clearly not happy with just bringing in the players over the summer. He's gone out and raided Juventus once again. And as for the long list of departures I was expecting, not a bit of it. More loans and a free transfer. I think we need to take a look at the current squad situation to find out where everyone is at. The best place to start is probably the under-23 squad. Big Willie has been dropped down to the youngsters, and it is clear that Conte isn't too keen on bringing through the youth. Ake, Chalaboa and Ruben Loftus-Cheek are still being wasted playing youth team football. Looking at the senior squad, what does all this tell us? Well, firstly, it looks like Cesar is back in the fold, playing on the right side of the back 3. If you look further down, Gary Cahill has requested a move, as you would if John Terry was still getting more games than you. Rajani appears to have displaced David Luiz in the middle, but we don't really care about all that. What about the new guys? It's been a horror show so far for Lukaku, 280 minutes only so far this season. Bakayoko isn't doing much better with 731 minutes, but the 2 wing-backs and Big Bob are proving to be good investments. Dani Alves has a massive 11 assists from right wing-back and Alexandro has 5. As for Lewandowski, 17 goals from 33 starts is not too bad a start to life in England. Let's have a look at some of the results so far. Well, yikes, there's been some really big losses in there. I was looking to highlight some wins against bigger sides, but there really were not that many. A loss to newly promoted Brighton and to Sheffield Wednesday in the 3rd round of the FA Cup are the particular low points for Conte. But wins over Arsenal and Tottenham must be pleasing. All that leaves the league table looking like this at the start of February. Okay, so it's fair to say all realism around this experiment has completely gone out the window. Arsenal are top, having only lost twice. I don't think so. They didn't buy anyone in either window, so there was a slight sense of realism slipping back into the game, I guess. But anyway, Chelsea are 5th, 9 points off the top with Arsenal having a game in hand. It'll be one hell of a title to win from here. Shall we cheer the Chelsea fans up with some Champions League stuff? So I'm sure we can all see Antonio Conte's plan now. Just win the Champions League. Genius. They eased through the group but now face Porto, and that's not going to be that easy, especially as I presume the 2 January Juventus signings are cup tied. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the wonder that is Dani Alves in action. So here we're able to see some match footage involving Dani Alves. Look how the build-up is all focused on being able to slip the ball in through to the fullback on the advance. A low cross is half cleared, but then Alves is able to finish in his usual flashy style, putting it into the top corner. Alves is clearly quite useful on set pieces for Chelsea as well, as you see from this corner, which leads to a foul being given away and therefore a penalty. The penalty, sadly though, was missed from the Chelsea's perspective. So this is how the league season ended up for Chelsea. I'm very tempted to cancel this entire experiment. Arsenal won it by 12 clear points with Arsene Wenger in charge. Yep, really? As you can see, Chelsea finished 5 points short of 4th place, so a slight improvement on the last time they defended their title. I said in January that Conte must be aiming to win the Champions League. So, did he? No. Big Bob scored in the first minute of the tie against Porto, but that was it for Chelsea and the Champions League dream was over. And that was kind of it for Conte too, because it became clear fourth place was looking very, very unlikely. He was sacked. And Chelsea moved in to bring in Marcelo Bielsa, a nice gentle soul to calm things down a bit. Bielsa shifted Chelsea to a 4-2-1-3 for the final two league games, which resulted with a win and a loss. But anyway, this experiment was to see how Chelsea would do with the 6 new faces. Not very well is the answer, but did any of them end up with their reputations intact? So Robert Lewandowski, 23 goals in all competitions for Big Bob, so it's hard to say that he's been a successful upgrade on Costa. He linked with Hazard as well as Costa does, but he didn't really do much better, the Belgian getting 18 goals and 9 assists himself. Bob, you get a 7 out of 10. Alexandro, again he didn't have a bad season, but did he really offer any more than Marcos Alonso? I would suggest not, so Sandro, you're only getting a 5 out of 10. Looking at Lukaku. Well, in the real world, most people are probably saying that Lukaku would be better off staying at Everton anyway. I think this experiment proves that theory right. A single start for the Belgian all season makes it another horrid time at Stamford Bridge for him, and I'm giving him a mere 2 out of 10. Dani Alves. Well, the Brazilian's end product tailed off after the January window, only adding 1 more assist and no more goals. Considering he would be joining Chelsea for a nominal fee, I think he can call himself value for money, and could well be thought of Chelsea's player of the season, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Bakayoko. Well, I would imagine young Bakayoko is wishing he'd stayed at Monaco for another season, as he barely got a look in. It was surprising that he wasn't sent out on loan after Conte brought in Lemina from Juventus. So in conclusion, what have we all learned? Well, as ever, there's just a few caveats in all of this. The signings in the game have been made at the start of the season just gone, so in-game it's really Conte's first season. In real life, it might be easier to add those players into a squad that is already used to his way of playing. Taking Bakayoko as an example, the season just gone is his breakthrough season, so it could be argued that he has moved to Chelsea just a season too soon in the game to make that realistic impact that I'm sure he would make if he moved in real life. Also, I question the fact that Conte kept Costa and a few of the other players bumped to the sidelines. You can't imagine that happening in real life at all. All in all, would that squad really finish 19 points behind Arsenal, with Conte in charge? Somehow, I doubt it, but hey, that's what Football Manager is saying.
So there we go. Not exactly the best second season for Antonio Conte at Chelsea Football Club. Sometimes it looks like you can just have too many good players. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that today. We'll be back very soon with a few more experiments around the same sort of theme. We'll probably look at Manchester City, maybe have a look at Liverpool as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel below. You can follow us on Twitter at The Higher Tempo, as well as, of course, checking out the website www.thehighertempopress.com. We'll be back very soon. This has been the Tempo YouTube channel.